welcome to Helping Other People Excel, or HOPE as we call it. Our show today is designed to bring hope and encouragement into your lives and the lives of those around you, and also help make you a better influence on those around you so that we might ultimately change the world. Oftentimes I've started out my show with a story from an unknown monk back in 1100 AD. I don't know why he's unknown. I've publicized him greatly over the last few months. He's still unknown, but anyway, his basic story was that when he was young, like I was, he wanted to change the world, and he set out to try and do that, worked real hard and did what he could to change the world, and soon he decided that maybe that was a little bit too big of a project. Maybe he should try and change his country, and so he worked on changing his country for a while, and he probably, like me, joined up with the biggest political party he could and tried to influence how they voted and who ran for president or whatever else. And then, after a while he decided that wasn't working out so good. A little bit of a buddy system there maybe. And so he decided maybe he could change his local area, maybe his state. I don't know if they had states over there back in that day, but so he worked at that level and tried hard to fix that. Maybe he joined the local legislature, and maybe he even joined, like I did, maybe he was a precinct delegate for his community, for his township or county. So then he decided that that wasn't being very successful, and he wanted to work maybe more locally in his community. So he started working with the town hall and the people of the village and maybe the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, I worked there too, and had limited success in changing that. So he decided maybe he should settle on changing his family, and tried to change his family. And you know how those doggone kids are. He worked hard at changing those, and they just wouldn't listen. And so finally he decided in his old age that all that was left was to change himself. And that's something that I've done not too long ago. I came to that same conclusion, that I need to change myself. And in changing himself, he realized that if he would have changed himself years ago, that he would have indeed changed his family and influenced them in the right direction. And having changed his family, then he would have indeed changed his community, because the family would have went out and made a difference there. And changing the community, then that would have spread out to his state or his country. And ultimately he would have changed the world. And so, we want to encourage you to work hard at being positive, change yourself, be a better person, be a better you, be the best you that you can be. And in doing so, you'll have a big effect on changing the world. And I've mentioned in the previous shows a nice little saying that I think it was Margaret Mead said, that never despair or never think that you can't change the world just being one insignificant person. Of course, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it here in front of me and I can't remember exactly how it was. But for indeed, she said, that's all who have ever changed the world, is that small, dedicated few that reach out and make a difference, And so I'm hoping that in changing myself, it's my goal to change and help you change in teaching you what I've learned for changing myself, and ultimately that we can all go out and change the world. And even if it's just a few of us, we can make that huge impact. We can send those ripples through history. So I just wanted to, start with that. I also want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank WCET Television for putting this on the air today, and every time that our show is aired. Those working hard behind the scenes, Alan and JB and Ben, and all those that are putting our show together and making this possible. The fine new digital equipment that they've got here that we now get to work with, and is so much nicer than what they had before. And so, and then of course I want to thank Pamper Me Naturally. Is a great little organization. Started out as a small home business. She wasn't happy with the soap and lotion that she was forced to buy and use on her children. She was a little concerned about the chemicals that were put in the soaps and lotions, and so she started making her own soaps and lotions. And Pamper Me Naturally now has a nice array, collection of soaps, lotions, lip balms, healing salves, things that are good for like essential oils and so on, to help you with some of the needs that you might have in your physical life. And many of those are available. PamperMeNaturally.com. You can go there. You can go there and look and find local stores in your area possibly that might carry some of her products. And one of those stores is Perry's Place in Cedar Springs, 90 North Main in Cedar Springs. And they are carrying all of Pamper Me Naturally's products, but they also have herbs and teas and more for helping you with your health. I think they have massage therapy there, and the teas that he has, he's got just a phenomenal selection, great big huge wall of teas. So you can stop in there, and do tell them that I said hello and that I sent you, and that way they'll know that their advertising has been effective. So we want to thank you for being here with us today and letting us into your home for this half hour, and hopefully we can minister to your heart and to your lives. And those of you that might just be flicking through the channels and happened on our show a little bit, it's our goal to help people and encourage them to not only rise to more heights in their own lives, but to help others rise to higher heights, because a rising tide raises all ships. And so we really want to work on changing our world and changing our community, making that difference. I got a terrible itchy nose today. Okay, got that out of the way for the moment. So anyway, appreciate your coming in, letting me come into your home. You know, I just, in going through the week, I have things occur throughout the week that happen to me, little incidences that I can share with people. Of course, the books and the CDs that I read, they influence a lot of times many things that I have to say, and so many of those books are so excellent. There's a top 5 list of books. You can go to my website. JB will put it on the screen here for you, and you can go there and find our various products, CDs and books available that help encourage you and uplift you, so that you can get that even when my show is not on, when you're not listening to me. And so many of the CDs are such encouraging, help you feel better about yourself, help encourage you and help you realize that you are somebody special. And that's what we want to try and get across to you in our show, and bring hope to your life and give you a little light at the end of the tunnel there, so that you can go on and do better in your day-to-day life. So anyway, those books and CDs are available for you at a fair price. We're not trying to make a killing off anything. We just want to help people, encourage them, and help them get new information to move forward and to do better in their lives. And, you know, of course, part of the reason why I have this show is because I had that happen to me recently. It was just a few years ago that somebody brought new information, like what I'm trying to share with you, they brought into my life. And, you know, I was so, and still am, so grateful to them for bringing me that information and to share that with me, so that I can have a better life and a better future. I've told you before, I was on what I call the hamster wheel, or gerbil wheel. Those little creatures that run all night long and go squeak, 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 squeak. My brother has one of those, and boy, they stay up all night and make all kinds of racket. But, you know, I felt like that. I felt like I was in a dead end. And when I got that information, it was shared with me. The top 5 books that I had talked about, I've been reading, and I read them over and over and over again, because there's still, every time I read it, there's more stuff there that is available, that kind of pops out at me that I just didn't realize was there before. But the first book, or one of them, is The Magic of Thinking Big. They're not in any particular order here, by Dr. David Schwartz. And I'm just finishing that up again, another read of that. But it's such an amazing book, such good information, and it really has helped me get along with other people better, maybe help me cooperate better with them, be more understanding and helping them and do their job. You know, as an employer and owning a business, I've had to work with my employees, and it seemed like over the years I could just never get them to do what I wanted them to do or what they needed to do. And you know, I've learned new information. I've learned new techniques now, people skills, I like to call them. And The Magic of Thinking Big was a very good book in helping me with that. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is also a very amazing book of good information, again, to help you with your people skills. And then we have Frank Boettcher's book on how I raised myself from failure to success in sales. Don't let those titles fool you. They're not just about sales, because really, truly, everything in our life is a sale. We have to convince our family that we want to go to California on vacation instead of Florida, or we have to convince our boss to give us a raise, or we have to, you know, sell our wife on where we're going to go out for dinner for the anniversary, or, you know, sell the husband on trying to fix the sink. All these things, everything we have in our day-to-day life, when you think about it, really is a sale. And if we can get better at our personality skills, our people skills, at how to not only just communicate better, but how to reach them in their where they're at, and help understand where they are, so that we can actually help solve their problems, and in doing so solve our own as well. It's that win-win that Dennis Waitley talks about. And so another book is Personalities Plus, very good book, and it helps us learn about other people and their personalities, and why people have the little quirks that they do. Sometimes we get annoyed and we say, well, that person is stupid, or that person just doesn't get it, or whatever, and you know, it's really not about that. It's really more about personality types, and we've got our own personality types, and we don't, if we don't understand that, then we tend to think, well, everybody else is goofy and we're the only sane ones, and every once in a while we bump into somebody with a personality like ours, and you know, then we think, well, I like that guy, he thinks like I do. But where would we be if our whole entire world where everybody was like us, or our whole company and everybody was like us? You know, and we think that'd be great, but every once in a while, I, as a young man, used to get to spend time with my dad, and boy, I'll tell you what, sometimes he rubbed me the wrong way and I rubbed him the wrong way, and I think largely that has to do with the fact that we're a lot alike. We're, you know, two peas in a pod, and that's how it is with family oftentimes, is that we grow up with each other and we kind of get on each other's nerves, and you know, I've come to realize that, and in reading Personalities Plus, you get that overview. You get to see how different personalities interact with other people, and that's just really an amazing thing. So that's one. I think that only gives me 4, so I'm leaving one out. Dale Carnegie, Frank Boettcher, David Schwartz, Personalities Plus, and I can't remember. I know there's a link on the website anyway that shows what our top 5 are, or maybe top 10. So if you go there and look, you'll find what that other one is. I'm just escaping me at the moment. Got that COS disease. I can't remember sometimes. So anyway, I know that you all probably have been there and know what that's like. So I'm trying to just get past that. But at any rate, you know, I think we've talked about in the past and other shows about how we're all diamonds in the rough, you know, and there's an old song out there not long ago, I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm going to be a diamond someday, you know, and kind of a country song, I think. But, you know, we all have that rough coal type exterior, and you know, when you get to polishing that up a little bit, you get underneath and you get that dust knocked off. Oftentimes you find that there indeed is this diamond underneath there, or a gem of some kind. Maybe it's a ruby, maybe it's an emerald, but still we're all precious in God's sight. He made us, and He created us to be what we're supposed to be. He's that artist, that loving potter that molds the pot and the vessel into maybe a beautiful vase, or maybe a beautiful picture for serving people at the table, or you know, whatever it is that He needs made. He makes us special. He makes us unique. Each and every one of us, we've all been created to be what He wants us to be, and if we allow Him, He will continue to develop us and help us to be all that we can be. Sadly, so oftentimes we get bogged down by the cares of this world. We get, the stone fell out of the ring and landed in a big old manure pile out in the barn, and we just feel like that we're just surrounded by crud, and what are we going to do, and how do we get past that, and how do we rise above that when we're just barely keeping our nose above it, and of course the smell isn't all that good, but that's why we're here today, is to help lift you up and help you get up out of that and realize that that you are special and that there is more to life than what you live. And if you're not happy with your life right now, and I know that I wasn't just a few short years ago, I was very unhappy with my life. I put on a good show and a good front and said, I'm doing good, and everybody thought I was doing good, and in some ways I was doing okay, but it wasn't what I wanted. And many times I found myself thinking and saying, is this all the life that there really is? And looking around me, and I could see that other people didn't live like I did. Other people took trips and vacations and enjoyed themselves, and I was bogged down by this business that I had, and I couldn't leave. And I was frustrated by workers that wouldn't do what I wanted them to do or needed them to do. And I found after learning new information, I came to the conclusion that I was just not a good leader. And, the employees are only going to follow as good as they're led, and I wasn't a good leader. And so I had to take a good look at myself, a good introspective look at myself. Of course, I found some really good information on leadership, and that helped me tremendously become a better leader. But, I began to realize that oftentimes in my efforts to point out to my coworkers what they were doing wrong so that they could do better next time, that I sounded critical to them. I sounded ungrateful and unappreciative, and I didn't temper my criticisms or my critiquing, if you want to call it that. I didn't temper that with attaboys, appreciation and thanks and pat on the back for the things they did good. And so consequently, they just kept getting a more negative and more negative and more negative attitude. And, I feel bad about that. I just was doing what I knew to do. I just didn't have the right information, and consequently, I didn't have the right results. And so if you're unhappy with your life and you're looking at things in your own life and saying, man, there's got to be more to life than this, there's got to be better results somewhere, I've got to be doing something wrong, other people do better than this, they are happier, they have time, they have money. That was the other thing, is that it seemed like I was always trading time for money. And the bad thing about that is, if you're trading time for money, you can never have both, because if you want more time, what do you got to give up? You got to give up money. The old teeter-totter effect, and if you want more money, you got to give up time, because you got to go in and work longer hours. And, then I'd look at other people and say, well, they've got both time and money. How does that work? And what am I doing wrong? And I just couldn't seem to find that answer. It seemed to elude me. It seemed to evade me. And, how grateful I was and how happy I have been now that I've found the answer, how much less stress I have in my life, because somebody showed me another way. Somebody showed me information that I lacked. And I've talked about my parents, my dad being a factory worker. My mom was a school teacher when I was really young, but a homemaker as we got older. She chose to stay home with us kids, but of course that kept a limited budget. But in both circumstances, neither one of them were particularly successful or wealthy. My mom came from a very poor family, a lot of kids. Grandpa was a shepherd. He raised a lot of sheep. And so, she didn't have a lot of skills or abilities with finances or even leadership, And my dad was a factory worker, was raised out in Kansas, and was a railroader from a railroading family. So grandfather was gone, his dad, gone all the time, and would only be home occasionally on weekends. And, he provided for his family. But my dad didn't get to learn a lot of things either that, you know, he needed to know. And so he did the best he could. He raised his family. He worked hard. He spent a lot of time gone, trading time for money in the factory so that his kids could have better. And consequently, I learned all I learned from the public schools. And, you know, sadly, as so often is the case when we allow others to take over our responsibility, I didn't get the education there that I needed. Teachers are overwhelmed and overworked, and we sure appreciate the teachers and what they do and what they have to work with and the challenges that they face every day. But, you know, still, I never learned that there was another way. All I heard was get a good job, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and live the American dream. And, of course, that didn't happen for me that way. I tried all those things, and I thought I was doing well. My dad always wanted his oldest boy to be an entrepreneur and to grow up to have his own business. And so I did. I did manage that, but you know, I really wasn't very successful at it. I certainly didn't have the results that I wanted in life. I didn't get to go where it was warm in the cold climates and come back to Michigan and enjoy the fine Michigan summers when the climates were good. But, you know, I had to always stay and work, and I worked in long hours. And sometimes in a small business, Robert Kiyosaki talks about that in his book, Cash Flow Quadrant, that you end up, as a small business owner, you end up putting in more time. And yes, sometimes a little bit more money, but oftentimes more time for maybe even the same amount of money. But it did give me a certain flexibility that was helpful because I could spend certain times doing things that otherwise I'd have been a 9-to-5 job or something like that as an entrepreneur. But, you know, I just really, and like I said, still to this day, I'm so grateful for somebody coming along and saying, you know what, Jim, there's a better way. And I so want to share that with you guys. If there's just one person out here that this reaches and ministers to and touches your heart, and if I can show you a better way, if I can guide you to new information that will change your life like it's changed my life, then I figure that I've been successful at what I'm doing here and that this little show has served its purpose, and more so even. So I just pray that there's something out there that we say here at Hope, helping other people excel, that has ministered to your heart and will continue to minister to those around you as we raise the tide for all ships, as we watch things grow and become better. It was just a week ago or so that we did some volunteer work. We call it Life on Life Initiative, and we went to the eQuest Center in Rockford, a bunch of us, and we volunteered, and we hauled hay, and we pitched the pens and got the poo out of there, and you know, did the things that needed to be done around there so that people that were less fortunate than us, oftentimes I think in the eQuest Center there's burn victims, people that have gotten badly burned and they need rehabilitation, or veterans that needed rehabilitation. And you know, I just think that that's such a wonderful organization. I've been able to work with them before, and I was just grateful and privileged to be able to spend the time to give back a little bit of what's been given to me in helping that fine organization. And so, you know, that little team of ours, we went out there and did all that, and it was a nice time, and we were able to, I think, really make a difference. We got a lot done that day, and I know that they were grateful for our time that we put in to clean things up out there. But there again, it's going that extra mile. It's doing that little bit extra. It's finding those in need and helping. And, you know, I know Pastor Gary Meyer in his Heaven is My Home show, he, you know, all year long, he gathers donations to try and help others, because at Thanksgiving and Christmas time, he hands out turkeys and food for people that are in need. And, you know, that's so needed in our world today. And, you know, if we each one reach one, if every one of us just took a little extra time and made a little extra effort, and instead of complaining about things and how they aren't going the way we want, step up and fix it, make a difference. Bring in an extra grocery cart when you're at the store, or pick up the pieces of paper that are blowing around. Don't just say, well, you know, they've got employees for that and somebody else will get it. No, go that extra mile yourself. Be that person. Be that guy. Step up and pick up that piece of paper and throw it in the trash. Because if we all do just that little bit, then it's not a big chore anymore for all of us. You know, you look at fixing our country or fixing the world, and I think we all agree that, boy, there's a lot of work that needs done there. But if you look at that as a big project, you look at it and go, oh man, what can one person do? I'm just one little guy. I can't possibly make a dent in that. But if we all, each one, each one do a little bit extra today, then we can and will make a difference in our world. And, you know, that's my efforts here, is to just go that little extra mile and reach out to you, wherever you may be, however you may be hurting, whether it's financially, or maybe your relationship is in hock and you're having problems with your spouse, or maybe your children, or whatever it is. You know, if I can just help minister to you and give you that new information that can make a difference in your life, that's why I want to do this. You know, and I don't get paid for coming down here. WCET is a volunteer organization, and many other people don't get paid either. And, you know, we're just down here trying to make a difference ourselves. And so, you know, if you get a chance and can volunteer at an organization that needs help, please do. Please go that extra mile. Or maybe it's just helping a person that's having a hard time getting out of their car. Maybe help them get out of the car or in a door or into a building or something. You know, we don't always have to give financially. We can give of our time and of ourselves. And truly, I believe that that's probably a more valuable gift than giving of money, because we can all give money. Money is replaceable. We can get that back, but we can't get back our time. And so when you give of yourself, when you give of your time, that is so much more of a gift. And you know what? You don't have to give it to a specific individual. You don't have to give it to your boss, even though it maybe is your boss that you're helping, but give it to God. Do what you do for Him in giving back what He's blessed you with. Because there's so many things when we look around. You know, we oftentimes dwell and focus on the negative parts of our world. And, you know, oh, poor me, I had a flat tire on the way to work today, and that made me late. And then my boss was grumpy, and the secretary forgot to file my paperwork. And, you know, we can go through all of the negativity and the bad things. And when we focus on that, that's what grows in our life, is negativity. But turn that around just a little bit and just make one small change by investing just a second of your time. It costs you nothing to walk into work and say, boy, you really look nice today. Boy, that is a beautiful outfit you're wearing. Boy, what did you do to your hair? That looks so nice. Or, boy, you did such a nice job on that report. And just put out a little bit of praise. And then to help you with that and to help you get there in that frame of mind, you look around you and you say, okay, what is it that I have that I've been blessed with? What are the good things in my world that I have been blessed with that I can share with others, you know, or not even share with others, but just count your own blessings. And when you start counting your blessings instead of your hurts and your disappointments and your frustrations, then you'll have a much better attitude and you'll be able to share that and pass that on to others. We're running out of time today, as always. It's been a pleasure spending it with you, and I sure hope that something we said ministered to your heart and to your life. If something we've said reached out and touched you, I ask you to just drop me a line at jim.pate@gmail.com or call me at 616-799-0517, and just let me know that we touched your life and that we ministered to you. That'll be a blessing to me. And you know, I want to end this with my quote that I often do. Christopher Robin said to Winnie the Pooh, "You are stronger than you seem, you're braver than you believe, and you're smarter than you think." God bless you. Have a great week. Thank you.